And blessed to be a part of your day. You know, I was sitting there taking a listen to Maggie's newscast, and it's amazing to me that, you know, we just have, I don't know if we should call it the nitwit meter or what, where you have all these crooks or goofballs doing these crazy things. Let me just, turn this off for a second. Let me just share this with you. Let me just share you the headlines locally. And I think, again, this is why we have to guard ourselves, being like not the guardians of the galaxy, not being the guardians of the galaxy, but we have to guard ourselves on the Treasure Valley lifestyle. Let me just share with you, okay? Let me see. Suspect in Treasure Valley grave threats arrested, right? Thefts, that's right, not thefts or threats. Here you have this guy. He's 22 years old. His name is Aspen Curtis. And he's accused of this, but he was arrested in Nampa. And according to the Boise Police Department, they asked the public's help in finding this person. They got half a dozen tips. Now, according to the police, it started in September that apparently, allegedly, that headstones that had vases attached to them were stolen. They were reported missing. Who in their right mind steals vases from the cemetery? And what do you do with all those things? I mean, we're talking about in late September, and people call this a crime spree. This is why we love Idaho. A crime spree in other places is murder and all these other bad things. Here, it's stealing the vases from the headstones. Okay? Now, you want to know what a big dummy this guy is? Charged with burglary, grand theft, and desecrating a grave. Oh, the attorneys are going to have a good day with this guy. That's a lot of billable hours defending him. Maybe he gets a public defender. A lot of great experience for the public defender, right? And you're thinking, okay, that's kind of strange. No, we're not talking about Stranger Things, but maybe we should title that, Stranger Things in the Treasure Valley. Here's another one. This guy's 37 years old, Tyler Schroeder, was arrested Tuesday at a hotel near the Boise airport. He was booked into the Ada County Jail on a charge of aggravated assault, apparently accused of threatening a woman with scissors and a screwdriver. So we've got the alleged vase stealer. Now we've got the guy threatening a woman with the scissors and a screwdriver. Apparently, it stemmed from an altercation. It always does. Apparently, they were inside a moving vehicle in the downtown area, and this is what happened. Amazing when you're thinking about this. They were in the car driving together when at one point he became angry and threatened her with scissors and a screwdriver. Now, I know what you're thinking. Screw loose? I don't know. Remember, all people are innocent until proven guilty. Now you're thinking to yourself, it's not that bad of a deal. Do you have anything else that's goofy? Well, this guy, and again, this is starting to scare me. We've got the freaks and the geeks coming here. A Boise man is facing arson charges after police say he reacted to having to leave a bar by setting a fire next to the patio. You ever been in timeout? Okay. Most of the people listening to KIDO Talk Radio, you're adults. I get it. For most of us, those of us that have never really learned what it's like to be mature, sometimes you have to go to timeout. I've been at places where I work, and I'm not saying this is one of those places where, you get upset, you give yourself a timeout, you give yourself a tea, and you go outside. Maybe you go get an iced tea or something, right? Well, police say a group of customers became upset after learning the bar was closing and went outside. They were so mad, and I don't really know whether or not how many alcoholic beverages they allegedly consumed, that the bushes surrounding the porch of the bar were on fire, damaged bushes, a wooden patio post, lighting, all this stuff out of people doing something stupid. Now, according to investigators, they found 21-year-old Chase Christensen in the area and determined that he had been at the Fireside Inn when the fire began. And according to BPD, they found evidence that he was the person that started the fire. Now, again, if I only had a brain. If convicted, this young man, 21 years old, could get 10 years in the poke and up to a $50,000 fine for allegedly lighting this fire because the bar was closing. So we've got the alleged vase stealer, the alleged assaulter with the screwdriver and the scissors, and the guy who allegedly lit the bar on fire or the bushes on fire. Man, if that is not a way to keep ourselves in check, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is when you're thinking about this. Hopefully when the crazy people from California are tailgating you, you'll remember patience. Patience, patience, patience. In regional news, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. People in Oregon, some of them are upset that the state has allowed some self-serve gas stations across the state. Oregon is one of two states that does not allow customers to pump their gas. Now, a law passed by the legislature in May, signed into law by the governor there, allows Oregon counties with 40,000 residents or less to deviate from that. I guess they can't get the gas pumpers. Some of the initial response from the Oregonians concerning about pumping their own gas was people being incredulous and in some cases hilarious. Now, the Facebook post has generated over 44,000 comments, 28,000 reactions, and have been shared 52,000 times. It is kind of strange when you go to Oregon and you pull into the gas station. And with all due respect to the gas pumpers, they're not the quickest. At least I found they're not the quickest. Maybe they are. I thought to myself, instead of getting that side hustle from Uber or Goober or Lyft or Rift or whatever, you just take the drive to Ontario and you pump gas. You talk to people. They probably don't want to talk to you. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But it's odd. Then I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's a career that I've never thought of. But the idea that you have to have a state law to allow people to pump their own gas. And I don't know. When you go into a gas station in Oregon, it's kind of eerie because you have to wait. And they come up to you and they're very nice sometimes. Sometimes they forget about you. Sometimes they aren't the best in customer service, right? But the idea that people are upset because they have to pump their own gas, it's silly. Phone numbers for these stories and more, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Also, last hour we talked a little bit about Ada County and the recycling, and because the Chinese aren't going to buy our junk, well, now you can't recycle certain things. I think it's just the beginning of the New World Order. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Don't forget, coming up Friday morning, it will be Lars Larson who will join us in the 7 o'clock hour, followed by Congressman Labrador in studio in the 8 o'clock hour. I know there are a lot of conservative legislators and activists getting ready tonight for their big meeting, stirring everything up, getting ready for another exciting season of the Idaho legislature. How exciting there. And, of course, the big news is whether or not we're going to get the repeal of the grocery tax. So there we have it. Let's get back to the big national stories at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Our friend John Decker on Trump v. Bannon right here at KIDO Talk Radio.
Steve Bannon described Ivanka Trump as dumb as a brick, and he said Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with a group of Russians at Trump Tower during the campaign was treasonous. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders took issue with many of the claims made by Bannon about the Trump White House.
I worked in the White House since the very first day, and a lot of the characterization that I saw that he was pushing out was the opposite of what I saw take place.
Lawyers for President Trump have sent a letter to Bannon demanding he refrain from continuing to make disparaging comments against the president and his family. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
And there we have it. Thank you, John. KIDO Talk Radio. By the way, we had someone calling in saying the vases are made of brass, so he probably stole them to support a habit. Maybe to support himself, maybe drugs, who knows? I'm sure we'll find out more once he is properly indoctrinated into the court system. Let's go to Patriot Ray with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
It's a great time to be alive. You know, you talk about dumb criminals. What about the guy, I think it might have been downtown Boise, the Torch or something like that, where the lady had left her car because she had somebody drive her home because she didn't feel she was safe to drive.
Right.
And somebody came along who was mad and turned her car over on its side thinking it belonged to one of the management of the bar. And the thing was, he was a tow truck driver, and he turned the car over, but it was all caught on tape.
Really?
So, a brilliant individual, brilliant people.
Wow.
And want to take something out on somebody else. Crazy. So you talk about crazy people. Oh, another thing, a friend of mine in California who is a police officer says that he loves the criminals that wear the droopy drawers because they're easy to catch when they start running because their pants fall down and trip themselves. So,
what do you make of that? That takes a lot of effort to flip somebody's car over.
Well, he had a tow truck, so he just took to the side of it and dumped it.
Now you're a diplomat, are you not, Patriot Ray?
I guess I'm trying to be diplomatic. Yes.
What do you make of this whole disagreement between Steve Bannon and President Trump, and the idea of ego, getting over yourself? You know,
I do not have any faith at all in Bannon, and
wow.
I have a lot more faith in our president, who has had so many good things take place, just like we hit 25,000 in the market today, first time ever. And so it keeps going bigger, and he keeps doing things, and he keeps getting rebutted by his own party, who are always against him, and they think it's not going to work. And then when something happens, oh, yeah, we support that. But they didn't in the beginning. So I don't know. I don't understand some of these people. And then the other thing is they all want to do something, but they don't want to get it done. So they campaign on what they're going to do, and they're going to help everybody, and they're going to do the best they can. Yet they get there, they kowtow, and go to the people who have the most money, I believe. And lobbyists, I wish they'd clean the house on all the lobbyists and say, I'm sorry, this is what you can do and you can't do. So,
but you know the deal.
We have too much money involved.
But everybody wants to talk, and no one wants to listen.
Well, yeah, and these I'm sure there are politicians who come in with high hopes they're going to do things, but once they get there, it seems like after a year or two they're totally corrupted and they just fall in line. We have a few good ones up there, but it just seems like it gets corrupted easily, and people just don't want to battle against anything that might cause them harm in their home country or home city because they won't get reelected. They're always worried about being reelected instead of following the Constitution and doing the right things. So I don't know. Politicians just, if I like somebody who's not a politician, like Trump, who comes in and battles everybody, and it's important to see that happen. And it's good for us to see it happen because we're seeing things that can get done. We had things happen with Reagan's era. I was alive that time and having a good time at it and benefited from it. And I'm looking at the benefits today. In April, we'll mostly do away with Obamacare. That's going to be a good thing. Now, it's going to hurt some people, but it's going to help a majority.
Finally, we've got about 30 seconds left here at KIDO Talk Radio. What do you make of all the people from California coming in here?
Well, I thought I shut the gate behind me when I came up. Of course, I'm originally from Ohio.
My wife was born in Twin Falls. Where all good things come from, Ohio, yes.
Yes, it's a good thing to be from, a good place to be from. But I don't know. As long as they're coming here and they're trying to get freedom from the things they had in California and the destruction, I'm for them. Those who come here and want to make us like California, they need to go back to California if they like it so much. We don't need to change things here in Idaho to be like that. But most of the changes I've seen that have taken place in Idaho that bring us into line with California came from Idahoans who've been here all their life because for some reason they don't like what we're doing. And this is a great area to live in. I am so happy I'm in Idaho. We have the freedoms that we used to have in California when I was a kid, and they've gone away. And all these sanctuary cities, they need to go away too. No funding. So you have a great day. Stay fired up. Love to hear the program. And Happy New Year to you and your sweetheart. I'm just grateful to be alive.
You and me both,
God
brother.
bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Patriot Ray. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get back to the calls. Hello, Liberty Linda. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. Our one and only wonderful Kevin. Anyway, one day a friend of mine said, "Hey, Linda, I've got a movie I'd like you to see." So I was watching this movie, and the movie was about a futuristic city where the people only rode bicycles. There were no automobiles. The people were kept drugged all the time, and the people would even kill their own babies if the government told them to. Anyway, every time I hear that there's another state accepting marijuana, I think about that movie. Is that what's going to happen to us? That's the question today.
Well, I've got some good news for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Breaking news today. And by the way, I do want to get your thoughts on Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. And the issue here, Liberty Linda, is this, that apparently now, in a move that we have been begging for, apparently the federal government has been monitoring what we do here in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio, because the Trump administration is going to move to weaken marijuana legalization movements. They will announce today they will free federal prosecutors to be more aggressive and enforce marijuana laws, effectively threatening to undermine the legalization movement that has spread to 6 states, most recently in California. Hallelujah!
So what I thought was coming true, actually.
We're back.
We have to keep the people awake so they can see what's going on in our nation. It really frightens me. And, Steve Bannon, who knows what's going on? Every single person I hear says something else about, it's just opposite. Every single person has a different story about Steve Bannon. So you're left with, well, what do we believe? What do we actually know what's going on? Anyway, that's the way I feel about it.
I'm with you, Liberty Linda. So, you know what they say, never burn your bridges.
Oh, it's a world that we live in that, thank goodness we have our Savior.
Exactly.
Thank goodness we have the Lord. And we have so many wonderful people here in Idaho that have their eyes open. That's what I love about Idaho, the people here. They're absolutely wonderful. And then, of course, we've got you. And you have one of the wonderful shows. Anyway, we are appreciative of you, Kevin, and we just have to keep our eyes open.
I would agree with you on that. We're always blessed to be here. So, Liberty Linda, the president actually, now he sent a lawyer to have the book publisher not even publish this thing. It's getting crazy.
Our world is getting crazy, and we're sitting back here watching it, and all of us are scratching our heads saying, wait a minute, this isn't what we want.
Right.
The people that still think clearly, unfortunately, our youth have been in our schools, hypnotized.
I would say.
Mm-hmm. And we love them. We love our youth. And we just want them to see the things that we see.
I would agree with you, Liberty Linda. Thank you, as always, for the comments, the compliments, and for listening.
Well, we love you, Kevin. You just keep there and let us know what's going on. We appreciate you.
Well, you know what they say, keep your powder dry.
You're right. Okay, Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And like I said, you're wonderful in our world.
Well, we're blessed to be a part of it. Thank you, Liberty Linda.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO, traffic and weather. Appreciate you, Larry Gabbard. I was just on one of those social media things they call it. I think it's called the Facebook. And a year ago, I think there was after, you shovel your driveway. This just gives you perspective last winter versus this winter. I was done shoveling. I think the snow pile in my driveway was up to 3.5, 4 feet. Eventually, I got up to 5 feet, almost 6 feet. But that's the perspective of last year in the Treasure Valley to this year. Amazing. And let's hope Bogus and Brundage and Tamarack and Sun Valley, they all get as much snow as they want down here in the valley. I think we're good, right? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Heidi ho. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. So we have a few things going on here. Most notably, if you still want to talk about Trump versus Bannon, I know we've been doing it all morning long. However, people wake up, they're ready to go, they want to talk about these things. Here are the details. By the way, the president's lawyers have just sent a cease and desist letter to Michael Wolff, author of the new book Fire and Fury, because they believe that Steve Bannon, who signed a non-disclosure agreement, may have violated that. So we'll see how that plays out. The president does not play.
Lawyers for President Trump have sent a letter to former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon demanding he refrain from continuing to make disparaging comments against the president and his family. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the president was less than pleased when he read Bannon's comments that appear in a new book.
I think furious, disgusted would probably certainly fit when you make such outrageous claims and completely false claims against the president, his administration, and his family.
Bannon on his radio show said that the president is a great man and he supports him day in and day out. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
And by the way, before we get to your phone calls, Allie writes in, Kevin, in today's Press Tribune, page A5. Thanks for being specific, Allie. We appreciate that. This person did not just take glass vases. He took vases made of brass and or copper. That's why it's such a big to-do. At the end of the article, the thefts will cost all 3 cemeteries. Now, what do you think a vase is? Not much, right? Which apparently they're under the umbrella of Carriage Cemetery Services of Idaho, Inc. About $100,000 to replace. Crime does not pay. And a story that you're buzzing about right now, you'll only hear here maybe a little later. Probably Sean won't talk about this today. It'll be about Bannon and Trump. Maybe Lars will bring this up. The Trump administration will free federal prosecutors to be more aggressive in enforcing marijuana laws, effectively threatening to undermine the legalization movement that has spread to 6 states. All right. The Justice Department, which we have, by the way, been urging our great friend, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and the President, Donald Trump, to rescind the Obama-era policy of discouraging federal prosecutors from bringing charges of marijuana-related crimes in states that had legalized the sale of the drug. Now, people don't know whether or not they're going to target the dispensaries or, according to the New York Times, the government's rattling its sabers. But it's over, in my opinion. So, folks in Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Alaska, Nevada, Massachusetts, Maine, and California, the dope ride is over. Your thoughts at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Dustin in Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
Well, good morning, sir. How are you?
I am a happy camper today.
Good deal. I'm actually calling in regards to all the marijuana news that you guys had this morning. Quick background: as a 2-time combat vet, I have a lot of friends, and so my biggest question is on this new legislation that is getting pulled out. Will this also affect the medical marijuana states?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Of course.
People say that, but to be over there once, twice, many times, sir, putting it on the line, being away from your family, God bless you and your fellow brothers and sisters. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, sir.
The article here says, right now they don't know, but they go back to the Obama administration decided not to sue such states, and the Justice Department issued a policy memo instructing federal prosecutors to deprioritize marijuana-related prosecutions in such states, except in certain cases, such as when the sales were used to children or gang-related activities. That's a good question that I had that I didn't want to bring up because it would show my ignorance of this topic. However, Dustin, I will tell you, I don't know. But I think the dispensaries and everything else, hasta la vista.
I could see that. So this takes me back to where I like to try to talk to a lot of people about it is what is a drug to everybody? I mean, everybody is claiming, God put everything on this earth, and I believe that too. So if it's a plant, it's a plant. Whereas, why should we trust the big pharma with completely synthesized products to put into our body to solve things that God possibly put on this planet to solve for us?
Now, Dustin, you sound like a very intelligent young man, unlike the old codger on the radio who's talking to you on the other side.
No, sir.
I'm going to give you my simpleton opinion on this, and it is very simple. One is legal, and one is not.
So, and that's fair enough. So this will take us back to separation of power of state and federal.
Oh, good.
So why can a state not legalize something and the federal can still step on their toes?
Well, in my opinion, the Obama administration, Dustin, violated the law when they didn't enforce federal laws, when they opened up Pandora's box to begin with. There's this thing called the Supremacy Clause in the Constitution, whether you agree with it or not. Now, people say states' rights. I think that went out the door with the Civil War. And then you have, if states can legalize marijuana, then why can't they regulate marriage, to be a man and a woman or what have you? One argument for marriage is, no, we've decided this is the way it is. On the other hand, for marijuana, well, states can legalize it or not. So,
right, and so that's where I get confused. There's so much on this side we're going to do it this way, but on this issue we're going to do it this way, where they are tied together. I feel that that's a very similar issue of states can say one thing, but federal says another. So where do we draw that line?
I draw the line on I'll volunteer to go down and shut down those recreational dispensaries. We'll start at the Oregon coast.
Yeah, you can have fun doing that. I'm totally for. I'll just end it and I'll let you go. Thanks for talking. I got to get into work. But I totally am for marijuana legalization, and I feel the researches that have been done for it, scientific researches that have been done on it, that have been non-biased and not federally funded, have found excellent results compared to the drugs that are sold to us through the federal government and the larger pharmacies. And that's where I stand. I still think state and federal government needs to be separated anyways, a little bit farther, but, I'm just a simple man also, just trying to make a buck.
Dustin, God bless. Take care, sir.
God bless, sir. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate Dustin there. Let's go to Mark in Boise with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Well, Dustin just completely stole my thunder because I thought you were a conservative Republican that believed in states' rights, and I assume that you're in favor of what the Trump administration did down in Utah with reversing the national monument rule on places like Bears Ears and, freeing up that land for the state to decide what to use it, but yet you're against states deciding marijuana laws.
Well, that's an interesting point. And quite frankly, I will never claim, Mark, to be an expert about the national monument situation and the parks and everything else. I will self-report my ignorance on that one. On the other hand, I think that if it's against the federal law, you can't allow the states to create their own laws. Case in point, I always go back to, and I sound like a broken record here, is marriage, okay? In Idaho, now, if people have a problem with the federal law, why don't they take it to the Supreme Court and get it legalized that way? That's what they did with marriage, right? If you can't get, if marriage can be redefined because the federal law says that, and it, was unconstitutional, then how can it be constitutional? How can it be constitutional for states to shun federal law when they want to legalize marijuana? There's just no consistency.
What is your thoughts on individual states' abortion laws?
Wow. Now that's a good one. My personal opinion on abortion?
Yes.
My personal opinion is I believe it should be a states' rights issue.
But you don't believe the same thing when it comes to marijuana laws.
Again, I'm answering the questions honestly. But the law is the law. I don't like the law, but the law is the law. And I could say that. Hey, why can't Idaho be a pro-life state if Nevada can be a pro-marijuana state or, a legalization state, for a lack of a better term?
But
that's
Kevin,
just not
what
how
happens, you're comparing this to existing laws. But what happens if there's a new federal law that impacts you personally and how you operate in your particular state? What's your view going to be that point?
I would tell you
this.
this.
Fall back to it being it's the federal law?
Yes, and I will tell you, I do not agree with how marriage was redefined. It was not my thing. I thought that states could do this and blah, 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 but it went to the Supreme Court. I don't like the decision, but I have to respect it.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate the fun debate.
Well, I don't know, Mark. You're a little too smart for me, but thank you, sir. All right, we appreciate that. He was a good one. But, again, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The marijuana fun love train is over. That's right, it is over. We're going to start prosecuting people. Jeff Sessions is going to have a different Justice Department than Loretta Lynch, than Eric Holder, and we're going to see the crackdown that should happen. Again, I love the debate from Dustin and Mark at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, but you can't say that, and we'll just roll with it. And, Mark's point, existing federal law. Well, yeah, there has been existing federal law when it comes to abortion, when it comes to marijuana, and when it comes to everything else. You can't look. You have pro-life who calls in all the time saying, Kevin Miller, we should legalize life. We should outlaw abortion. Okay. You can do that until the feds come in and you take that case to the Supreme Court. But as I've said many, many times, and the difference between me and other people in Idaho, and look, we don't have to agree, but I respect your opinion, is the idea that, the more libertarian approach. It's funny, everybody's a libertarian now. Because being a libertarian is kind of cool. I'm against big government, but, live as you want. And you don't have to touch the hard-hitting social issues. Being a social conservative, very tough today. You're vilified, your lies are made up about you. But getting back to this marijuana thing, if you're just tuning in, it's the end of the road, folks. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Back to allowing states to legalize marijuana, I can say that's probably over. And those states that have the dispensaries, get ready to go to court. I was going to say Bubba, but baby, whatever. Your thoughts on this, I'll explain it next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. There we have it. By the way, how many of us should be deputized to go in there and flush and fumigate those marijuana dispensaries? The Justice Department is expected to announce today will free federal prosecutors to more aggressively enforce marijuana laws, effectively threatening to undermine the legalization movement in all those 6 states when we're talking about the states that have legalized marijuana. Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Alaska, Nevada, Massachusetts, and California. Barb in Sunny Slope, good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. I just wanted to chime in on this to help people not freak out about this potential new law and eliminating marijuana. I have a master's degree in herbology, so I am very well into plants and herbs. Believe me, I know what they can do. I know how they heal. I will say that I know of research that shows marijuana is beneficial for certain things. However, I also know that whatever marijuana is good for, so if somebody's sitting there saying, I'm needing it medicinally, there is another herb that is not illegal, that is not, doesn't affect your brain, that will work also. So somebody, if they're really needing some herbal solution to this, and they don't want to go big pharma, there are herbs out there that will take care of what you're dealing with without using something like marijuana. There's my statement.
Well, your statement's always welcome here. Do you agree with the federal government saying, it's over, dope smoking is over?
I don't mind it being over. I really don't. I have some reservations for real, seizure people that nothing has worked for. I wish it could be available for them. But the way it's written now, the way it is now in Colorado, at least, in the state I just moved from somewhat recently, when it was passed for medical things, the reality is everybody suddenly had a medical condition.
Yes.
And that is totally, totally absurd. And for which I would say again, there are piles of herbs out there that will work equally well, if not better, than marijuana for your medical condition. I'm aware, however, of, seizure things, that there are some people with seizures that does seem to be the only solution. I don't know what to do with that. But nevertheless, yeah, I think it's a good idea. We got to get this stuff off the streets. One of the things I remember reading years ago, and this is years ago, was that 1 in every 10 drivers was drinking, was a DUI waiting to be caught. And so you were always at risk of that one drunk driver down the road, driving into your lane. Well, now we've got not only that, but we've got all these high drivers that could potentially be wiping you off the face of this earth. I think our risk has really increased, and I think that affects us. So if you, not you, Kevin Miller, but if that other you out there is smoking marijuana and feeling like, don't worry, I can handle this, the reality is maybe you can't, and maybe you take me out. And I'm going to say that maybe there was another herb. This is being taken for a medicinal purpose. There may have been another herb that you could have been taking that doesn't affect your brain.
Barb, thank you for the call.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for listening to KIDO. Bye-bye. KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. That's a tough one. Let's go to Bill in Eagle at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Bill.
How are you doing today?
So happy the dope smokers are on their way out.
I've got a little interesting perspective, I think. So the area that I grew up in, my best friend, their family had a commune down the dirt lane from us. I've been around pot forever. I have a whole set of cousins, 7 cousins that are all dead due to drugs. Eventually they committed suicide or overdose. I don't think people really weigh the consequences of drugs very well. You hear the libertarians say, well, let people do what they want to do. If there were true libertarians, they would say, well, let them do that. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to die in the street because they chose to do that. If we as a society are going to take care of people, then don't we have a right and a responsibility to help make sure that what they're doing is not going to damage society?
Depends on your definition of damaging society. Yes.
Marijuana, it's actually not the introductory drug. Tobacco is the introductory drug, but marijuana is the second step to a lot of bad things that happen. Does that make sense?
One is legal and one isn't, though.
Right. One is legal and one isn't. But one is worse and has farther-reaching consequences. And I think marijuana has worse consequences than tobacco does, actually.
I would agree, Bill. Thank you for calling into KIDO Talk Radio.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Pro-Life joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, Jeff Sessions he's enforcing the federal law, which he should. Now, I think that all criminal things, including marijuana, belong with the states. So what this is going to do, if he really enforces the federal marijuana laws, that will force Congress to take up the issue again, and there'll be a lot of people saying the federal government's going to get out of the marijuana law business, and it's going to all be in the state jurisdiction, and I believe that's where it should be. So Jeff Sessions is doing the right thing. He's going to cause it to go back to Congress, and I think that marijuana is harmful for recreational use. I think I would only use it for a medicinal reason. I've never used it at all, and I've seen people use it for recreational and get messed up, and I've seen them use it for medicinal and be all right. But you have to really be careful with it. So
no dope smoking here, and I'm not having any brownies.
Right, but as a matter of constitutional interpretation, and the truth is that all criminal laws belong with the states, so they can have different opinions about what's criminal and what isn't.
Well, tell that to people after the Civil War.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you.
All right, Pro-Life. Appreciate you. Ray Amaya, outstanding job as always. Coming up tomorrow, Lars Larson and Congressman Labrador. God bless. Keep the faith.